Oh shit. Here we go again.
Today we are rebuilding the entire Grove Street out of Lego. Everything from the iconic cul-de-sac to CJ's house with a fully furnished interior, all the way to the Big Smoke's house. And after every major milestone I will build another character from the game until we end up with all 20 minifigures, so keep an eye on the counter in the corner. If you've ever played San Andreas, you already know how it all begins. CJ comes back to Los Santos, and within minutes Tenpenny and Pulaski are already making his life miserable. So let's recreate that entire scene, starting with a police car. I found the instructions on Rebrickable and I honestly had a blast building this thing. Check it out. Now let's build minifigures. First up, Officer Tenpenny. Besides the standard Lego pieces, I used custom dark blue sleeves from Citizen Brick and they make a huge difference. Of course, every cop needs someone to eat donuts with, so here's Pulaski. And naturally, they both got pistols. Now it's time for the man himself, CJ. He has a custom minifigures.me torso with printed skin details, a brand new head with his signature mustache, and printed muscular arms. I gotta admit, the second I finished him, I immediately thought back to those rainy afternoons when I'd get home from school, throw my backpack on the floor, and boot up San Andreas before doing literally anything else. Man, those were the days. Alright, I think it's finally time to head home. But before we start building, let's take one more look at CJ's house from the game. The entire model sits on two base plates. One is a regular 48 by 48, the other one not so much. Yeah, I had to cut it. I can already hear the Lego purists typing angry comments. Of course, the first mistake showed up almost immediately. I completely forgot about the stairs leading into the garage, which meant tearing apart part of the build and starting over. The garage itself needed to look beaten up, so I mixed in a bunch of uneven textures and damaged looking details. Alright, the floor's done. Now it's time for the ultimate test of every Lego mock. Well, it failed. Once everything was sturdy enough, I closed up the first floor. To keep that slightly rundown look, I mixed smooth tiles with angled pieces, so the walls wouldn't look too clean or too perfect. Time for the second floor. The roof turned out to be the biggest challenge by far. It went together layer by layer using dozens of slope pieces. Now that the house is finished...
And guys, I spent like 4 months and $5,000 on this project, so I think it would be fair if you subscribe to my channel.
There's only one person left to move in, Big Smoke. Dark jeans, green shirt, the iconic bucket hat, and of course a baseball bat. I mean, you gotta know how to welcome your guests.
You picked the wrong house, fool! Hey, hey!
Alright CJ, let's head inside.
You picked the wrong house, fool!
After Big Smoke catches CJ up on everything that's happened, it's time for MTV Cribs.
Welcome to the living room. We've got the iconic couch, the armchair, and of course the TV.
Right next to it is an entirely equipped kitchen, and naturally I had to include the safe icon. There's always been one thing about CJ's house that bothered me. From the outside it looks way bigger than it does on the inside. So I decided to fix Rockstar's mistake. I added an extra room that fits perfectly into that empty space. Right next to it are the stairs, which somehow became the hardest part of the entire interior. Upstairs we obviously have CJ's bedroom, because after spending all day taking over Ballas territory, the guy deserves a decent night's sleep. There's also a wardrobe and a couple of rooms that never existed in the original game, thanks to Rockstar's questionable floor plan. CJ looks ready to hit the street. Alright, one last look. Now let's compare it to the original. I gotta say, I'm really proud of how this house turned out. Now it's time to build the place every San Andreas fan can recognize in a split second. Grove Street. Right away I had to cheat the geometry a little. I trimmed one of the base plates at an angle so Big Smoke's house can fit exactly like it does in the game. I can already hear the Lego police sirens in the distance. As usual, the road was by far the most time-consuming part. The sidewalks and lawns create Grove Street iconic cul-de-sac. Now that the neighborhood is finally finished, it feels a little empty. Let's fix that. I wanted every Grove Street family member to look as close to the game as possible. So, what do you think? Alright, that's another section finished. Big Smoke says it's time to meet up with Sweet and Kendl, so let's hop in his car and head into town. Just like before, I found the instructions on Rebrickable, but what really surprised me was how well designed this thing is. Every door opens, the hood opens, the trunk opens, Now that we are here, it's time for a few more characters. Sweet was pretty straightforward. His signature green cap, short sleeves, that's really all you need. Kendl came together surprisingly well too. That blue skirt was basically perfect, paired with a green torso, and she was done. And of course, I couldn't leave out Caesar. I gotta say, the guy's actually pretty handsome. The reunion with CJ went exactly as you'd expect. A warm family welcome, followed immediately by everyone yelling at each other. After Kendl leaves with Caesar, the Ballas decides to crash the party. The only thing we can do is run. Next up, Ryder's house. Before we start building, let's take another quick look at the original. At first glance, this house actually looks pretty simple. Turns out, it's anything but. The angled front walls became a headache almost immediately. To make the walls look a little less flat, I added some texture and another illegal building technique. Yep, the sticky tack. Again, I know, I can already hear the Lego police kicking down my front door. The roof, on the other hand, was incredibly satisfying. Using side stud elements and tiny cheese slope, I managed to get a perfectly smooth surface. To finish everything off, I added a few palm trees, a gigantic tree, graffiti on the fences, and a couple of posters. And of course, Ryder needed his car too. That was the moment it finally started feeling like a place someone actually lives in. One last look and let's compare it to the game. One thing I changed was the giant lawn in front of the house. In San Andreas, it's actually pretty empty, so I took a few creative liberties, added some extra bushes, and honestly, I think it looks much better this way. Which means there's only one thing left to do: build Ryder himself. You might actually recognize this minifigure from my video where I built 50 GTA characters. And honestly, I still love the way it turned out. That hat and hair combo works ridiculously well. As much as I hate the Ballas, I still wanted their minifigures to be as accurate as possible. Unfortunately, Rockstar didn't exactly make that easy. The game basically keeps reusing the same few character models, so meet Ballas number 1, Ballas number 2, and Ballas number 3. So, which one do you think is the prettiest? Enough talking. There's only one person we need to visit: Big Smoke. The build itself wasn't all that different from the previous one, but somewhere in the middle, I caught myself thinking about something completely different. I stopped thinking about roof or walls or Lego altogether. Instead, I started thinking why I wanted to build this project in the first place. The first GTA game I ever got was Vice City, and I was obsessed with it. Unfortunately, that didn't last very long. One day my parents walked into my room at the exact moment I was running around the city with a chainsaw. I was about 10 years old at the time, so you can probably guess how that ended. The game disappeared into cabinet, and I was told I wasn't playing GTA ever again. Well, that was the plan. A little while later, I figured out exactly where they had hidden it. And that's when my secret operation began. Every single time my parents left the house, I would grab the disc, install the game, play for maybe 2 hours, and then uninstall everything before they got back, like nothing had ever happened. Now that the house is finished, there is only one thing left: the final batch of minifigs. This time I decided to recreate the characters from the San Andreas loading screens. I'm pretty sure we have all spent way too much time staring at those. First up, this lovely gentleman with the AK-47. I'm honestly not sure what's more intimidating, the rifle or that face. Of course, Denise had to be here too. I think CJ's gonna be pretty happy. And there's OG Locke. Funny enough, I never realized he was actually the guy on this loading screen, but my favorite loading screen has always been this one, so I saved that minifigure for last. Alright, every building is finally in place. It's time to put everything together. There are just 2 more characters left to build: Woozy and the Truth. And with that, our nostalgic journey comes to an end.